I'd like to provide you with a brief timeline of events from the homicide that took place in the Friendship neighborhood of the city of Pittsburgh last night and the subsequent arrest of the suspect that took place early this morning. At 8:25 p.m. last night, Zone 5 officers responded to the 200 block of South Aiken Avenue in the Friendship section of the city for a report of a male who was found unresponsive and bleeding profusely from the head. Officers located that victim, 62 years old. His name was Timothy Moran, and he had significant injuries to his head and face, consistent with some type of blunt force trauma. Mr. Moran was pronounced deceased by Pittsburgh paramedics at the scene. Responding officers conducted what we call a protective sweep of the residence, and the purpose of that sweep was to confirm that there were no other victims or suspects or armed individuals inside that could create a danger to the public. There were not any other individuals inside at the time. It should be noted that Zone 5 officers did respond to a 911 call that same evening, yesterday evening, around 6 o'clock. That call came in actually from the individual who turned out to be the suspect in the case. And at that time, it was just a kind of a verbal, more or less a dispute between roommates, a verbal dispute. The responding officers assessed the situation. It should be noted that they lived together. The responding officers at the time from Zone 5 assessed the situation and determined that there was no further action to be taken. There was no violence committed, anything like that. The officers acted appropriately, and they determined that there was no further action and no arrest to be made at that time. Just to reiterate, that original call was just for a verbal disagreement between the suspect and the victim. This morning, we did have our command staff members review the body camera footage from last night. They conducted that review, and they did confirm that our responding officers for the first call last evening handled the situation appropriately, and there was no action to be taken last night. Subsequent to that second call, the second time we responded for the person unresponsive, responding officers, detectives, and the team in our real-time crime center here at headquarters, they worked very quickly, and they were able to track the suspect to an address outside of the city, specifically in the Bellevue neighborhood, overnight. Members of our SWAT team, our violence prevention unit, and our homicide unit were called in to assist. Again, this all came about very quickly overnight. At 5:18 this morning, the suspect was taken into custody in Bellevue without incident, with no further injuries to either the suspect, the officers, or any innocent bystanders. The suspect was brought to police headquarters for questioning, and he is in custody at this time. He's been identified as Eric Henderson, 44 years old. He has been arrested, and he's being charged with criminal homicide. I just want to acknowledge that our thoughts at the Bureau of Police are with the friends and loved ones of our victim during what I know is a very difficult time for the family. And while this does not bring Mr. Moran back, I just want to acknowledge the swift work of our officers, our detectives, and the members of our SWAT team who worked quickly throughout the night to locate and arrest the suspect in this case. At this time, I can open it up for a few questions. I ask, this is still developing. We're still very busy working on this, so there's some questions I just won't be able to answer.
Do they both live at that residence?
We are able to confirm that.
And then Mr. Henderson had the second residence in Bellevue?
So we were able to track him to a residence in Bellevue. At this time, we're not releasing whose residence that is, but we were able to track him to another location in
And what's
Bellevue.
the nature of that home where they live? We understand it was a halfway house. Do you have any details about that?
We are able to confirm that it is a residence for individuals that have some mental health issues.
And what were the circumstances behind their altercation?
Originally, it came over as what I would more or less classify as just a verbal disagreement between roommates.
For the first call?
For the first call.
And then in the second call, it was the suspect that made the second call?
I don't have that information right now, yeah. I don't want to misspeak. Go ahead.
The second call, when the officers responded back, the second call was by the third roommate that was within that residence.
So there are 3 people who live there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank
So you said it was a home for people with mental health issues. Does that include like drug and alcohol addiction?
You know what,
We call this true halfway house, like for people who are rehabilitating.
I don't have that information, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but we can tell that it is some form of a group home.
Is it licensed?
I don't have that information.
And the second call, well, I guess on the second call, did he give you guys any reason? I don't know if it's in the complaint about like why he killed his roommate.
That's not something we can discuss at this time.
Chief Lindo, when the officer said, well, sir, what are you guys arguing over? Can you elaborate a little bit about what this disagreement was about initially?
The most I can recall or comment on is that it was about one of the roommates getting in someone else's personal space, but there was no weapon involved, there was no threat of violence, and at the time I believe they just agreed to kind of go their separate ways to their own rooms for the evening and call it a night.
The press release said that the victim had significant, was the victim stabbed to death?
It was a stabbing, yes.
Okay, the victim had trauma to his face and head.
Yes.
Were those all stab wounds?
So, to the best of our knowledge, we believe he was stabbed several times in the head and face.
Did it look like the victim tried to fight back?
I couldn't answer that.
Is there a history of 911 calls to this residence?
I believe, can anyone speak to that?
Yes, there's, yes. Police have responded to this residence, I believe 8 times in the last 3 months. Mostly calls not of a criminal nature, that mostly are resolved just by conversations, de-escalation, or referrals to outside agencies. No arrests at that location that I've seen.
I'm sorry, what were the natures of the?
Just not of a criminal nature. Welfare checks, family members calling to check on their loved ones who reside there, noise complaints, things like that. Nothing that would result in police action as far as an arrest or removal of anybody from the property.
You said 8 times in the last month?
Yes. 3 months. 8
3
times in
months,
3 months.
okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Chief, can you just clarify really quickly? I think there might have been some misunderstanding that the first call was from the individual who ended up being our suspect, not the second call.
Yes. So the first call was placed by the individual who is now in custody. That, as I said, was just a verbal dispute, verbal disagreement. It was settled for the evening. The second call, the homicide, was the call for help was placed by the third roommate, the kind of uninvolved individual, if you will.
Do you know how many people live in that house?
3.
3 total.
Yes.
Is there like a staff or something, or is it?
I just don't have that information.
So Chief Lando, was the third roommate, I'm assuming, that found the body, or can you talk about what he?
Right now, all I can say is the third roommate is the individual who placed the call, and I just don't know where he was at the time of the actual attack, but he was the one who placed the call for help.